Hello and welcome to the Team Bus. This is the companion podcast to the main Beyond the Slipstream show. And I am Matt Harper. I'm here with my brother Justin. We're going to get into some stuff that we did not get into in our main show this week, starting with a couple of notable retirement announcements from the Pro Peloton. Probably the biggest of all the ones would be Ellen Van Dyke. 70 professional wins, 13 GC wins. She was 3 times world time trial champion. She won Tour of Flanders. Just an absolute legend. Massive part of the dominance of Dutch cycling over the past decade or two or more. So she has just announced that she's just not enjoying racing as much. I think she's 38, did they say? So, she's up there.
Yeah.
Another one, the tractor, Tim DeClercq.
This is a big one, man. Like, never won a race, but boy, I tell you, the outpouring of love for this guy, in social media when he announced that that this was going to be his last year racing. Like, this guy's helped a lot of people win races.
Yeah, he is the guy that you call when you need a breakaway dragged back so that your sprinter can win. You call Tim DeClercq, and he gets on the front and he just grinds for like 61 kilometers. And then the other one would be Rafael Majka.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked about this one.
Yeah, 3 Tour de France stage wins, 16 professional wins, including, as I learned, had no idea about this, a stage win gifted to him by Tadej Pogačar after doing rocks, paper, scissors. Did you watch that link?
I did not.
It's exactly what you think it is. A helicopter shot of the two of them. They've obviously broken away at the front of a race. They're going into the finish. They literally do rocks, paper, scissors. Majka wins. You can clearly see him win. He throws paper when Pogačar throws rock, and he gets the win. It's pretty hilarious.
That is absolutely crazy. God, I love. Damn it! I kind of love Pogačar.
Yeah. My next note down was about a transfer, but I think we'll save that for our final cycling related topic, because it kind of ties in. So let's if you want, you said you watched the Tour of Wallonie.
I did.
So this is a cool race, Tour of Wallonie. It's basically like it's a stage race, but it's all the stages are like classics. Basically, they're hilly and it's in Belgium. It's in southern part of Belgium.
Really beautiful race.
Yeah, and it's just there's certain cobblestone sections, sectors, and one of the days they were starting at the base of the Mer de Huy.
Yeah,
they didn't ride up the Mer de Huy, but there's a bunch of these like kind of draggy uphill sprint finishes. Corbin Strong from Ismail Premier Tech came out strong on stage 1. I saw or heard an interesting factoid about him. He's had 5 wins in his career. 3 of them were stage 1 of stage races. So he's like really good at starting strong in a stage race. That Corbin Strong. So that was interesting. He not only won the first stage, but won the overall GC. Another notable team performance here would be Cofidis. Huh?
Yep.
Cofidis with 2 out of 5 stage wins.
We'll be talking about Cofidis here in just a second.
Yeah. This kid, Oliver Knight, got his first professional win for Cofidis, takes the leader's orange jersey. So he got his first win and he got a leader's jersey. So it's pretty huge for that guy. The next day, you got another first pro win. This guy, Davide Donati from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Super cool sector. There was 300 meters of cobblestones that they hit 3 times on this circuit. Very close to the Roubaix area of France. Just super cool race. And then you got the stage 4 was a kind of a 4-up reduced bunch 4-up sprint taken by Matthias Vacek of
Yeah.
Lidl Trek.
Just do. I freaking really love this guy,
Yeah,
man.
he's good. He's good. And Corbin Strong was right up in there to take the leader jersey
Yes.
in second place, and Movistar, like even with numerical advantage, could only manage third and fourth out of four. Um, and then in the fifth stage, absolutely insanely exciting finish. You had a breakaway, 5 riders going into like the closing kilometers. Ben Swift, Lorenzo Malese, Remy Rojas, Gianni Marchand, and this guy Clement Izquierdo from Cofidis. And these guys are like mixing it all up. I think it was it Malaysia, the guy from Movistar, that would just like kept making attacks, kept making attacks. Ben Swift is pulling back all the attacks, um, just being forced to chase because he was clearly the strongest sprinter in the group. And this guy is Kierdo from Cofidis just times an absolute perfect sprint. And it was so close that who came in second? Was it Ben Swift? Was it Lorenzo Malese? Was it Remy Rojas? Was it Gianni Marchand? Any of those 4 guys that are up there? No, it was Corbin Strong. Corbin Strong, the ultimate race winner, somehow got in there and got into second place in the madness of that finish. I'm like, impressive.
Yeah, dude,
Very.
he wanted this win. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it ends up being a really nice win for that team, and that's a team that definitely can use a win for sure.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, they have not had a whole lot. That makes me think of something, by the way. Um, should have mentioned this last week. Did you ever once throughout the entirety of the Tour de France broadcast, ever once hear the following name mentioned? Derek G.
I don't believe I
Because Derek G was in the Tour de France.
did. He finish the Tour de France?
I don't know. I do not have a single recollection of that guy ever being mentioned, ever being a part of a break. Now I need to look it up. Why don't you get into your next?
Well, we'll jump into the points. Our ongoing UCI point standing coverage.
Yeah.
So just to refresh everybody, last week we had Picnic Post Danelle in 16th, XDS Astana in 17th, Intermarché in 18th, and they were leading Cofidis by 14:56, and this is going to be important here in a minute. And Cofidis was in 19th with Uno X Mobility bringing up the 20th place, but still very much in the mix. So through today, XDS Astana has now leapfrogged Picnic Post Danelle to be into the 16th spot. And they went from a 28-point deficit to a 33-point lead in possession of 16th place right now. Picnic Post Danelle holds a 647-point lead over Intermarché, but this is the important one here. Intermarché led Cofidis last week by 14:56, as I just stated. This week that is down to 12:20. All right, so Cofidis is nipping at the heels of Intermarché, who is not going the right direction. So they made a 100-point swing into that deficit this week with those wins. The other thing that we have is that also cuts the lead that Uno X or that Cofidis has on Uno X, or adds to the lead that they have on Uno X Mobility, who they led by 343 points last week, up to 517 points. So it is like anybody's race right now for that 18th slot, and Intermarché is not doing anything to hold on to it. So the question becomes: is it going to be Cofidis that knocks them off of that spot, or is it going to be, can Uno X put something together before the end of the year to be able to jump both of those teams into that 18th spot? Because I think at this point, I think we can say that Astana and Picnic Post are going to, that they are, firmly in the locked in that they're going to both make it through.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's kind of fascinating. I mean, it's interesting to hear you say, is it going to be Cofidis or will Uno X Mobility be able to erase the deficit between them and both of those teams that they would need to get past to get into 18th slot? It seems more feasible because that team seems to be doing a hell of a lot better just on the year as a whole than either Cofidis or Intermarché.
I mean, we're
But
talking 1,700 points. It's a lot of points for them to be able to get into the 18th spot. But
12, yeah,
it's
1700, yeah.
but it's only 1,200 for Cofidis to be able to take Intermarché. So if they go in with a strong Vuelta, a strong Vuelta, or especially take some stuff, especially some of these smaller races right now. I mean, they need to be focused on mopping up little points anywhere they can.
Yeah, I don't know. Some teams it's just like not in their DNA to behave that way, but you're right. That's what they need to do.
You
All
know.
right, what else?
Um, the only other cycling thing I have is the. Did you see the wreck that Ciccone and Del Toro had in the Volta a Burgos?
Yeah, it was unfortunate the way that Chacone got taken out.
Yeah, I thought it was
Just
interesting. Just like two days off of or 3 days off of the San Sebastian race, and
yeah,
they have this like
they're right there in the
crazy
mix
little
again.
wreck. Yeah, just mixing it up again. So
And it's like what happened is like Del Toro when he put his hands out to break his fall, and his arms were like stretched out all the way this wide, and Ciccone came and he ran across Del Toro's hand, and
yes.
that's what put him on the ground. And Del Toro just like kind of moved his hand a little slightly different ways. Ciccone would have skirted right past him.
All right. Well, let's go on to the big news that broke. Pretty much, I
The
guess today, right? Was
the
this?
big news, it's not really big news.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, obviously, we all kind of knew that it was coming, or at least speculated that it was coming. But
Right.
Remco Evenepoel, it's official, is joining Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe in 2026, breaking contract with Soudal Quickstep.
Yeah, this is just a move that like fills me with such varied emotions. I mean, from a pure like fandom stance, I'm like, well, this is going to be interesting. Like, this is going to be super interesting. But like, I I have a lot of misgivings about how they're going to navigate the situation between Evenepoel, Lipowitz,
In
and
Primus.
Roglic.
Yeah. Doesn't, I mean, it could be the UAE embarrassment of riches, and look, he's going to be the Tade, and you're going to have your Juan Ayuso and your João Almeida, and that this is the DNA of a team that is capable of taking on Pagachar. Because I mean, at this point, that's the only thing that you've got. I mean, Visma has shown that the only way to remain competitive against Tadej Pogacar, which is hardly competitive at all, is to bring a super team with them, with the likes of a Matteo Jorgensen and Simon Yates. You have literally Jonas's team. Had a Grand Tour winner as a domestique. All right, a Grand Tour winner from this year. Okay. So if you're the Red Bull team and you're going, okay, what is it going to take for us to win a Tour de France? Because obviously, we can't do it with Primoz by himself. We can get to third with Florian Lipowitz, but how do we get there? I mean, I see what they're doing. I just, I rolled back what I said uh, uh, about the little bastard, about Remco, but I still am, I still have big question marks on whether or not he is the guy that you can take one of these giants down. Do I think he can come out and win a Giro or win a Vuelta if Pogacar's not competing against him? Absolutely. But is he do you see this as the giant killer, scenario for them? Do they have enough parts to be able to take him down now?
Um, I don't know because I think there's a couple of fundamental questions that have to be answered. Number one, um, is Florian Lipowitz just going to happily be like, sure, I'll domestique for Remco Evenepoel? There's no way. He's going to be saying, look, we've both
That's what
we've
I think
both
he's going to say is goodbye.
podiumed we've both podiumed the tour, and I've done it more recently than he has. So why is he the guy? He needs to be domestiquing for me because I have a much better chance of winning this thing. Remco Evenepoel is going to say, "I'm Remco Evenepoel, bro. Like, I'm the guy. Um, so get in line." Or is it a thing where Remco goes to the tour and Leipwitz is happy going to the Giro and the Vuelta and getting some more Grand Tour, perhaps getting some Grand Tour wins under his belt. Then the final question is, where does Primoz fit into all this? Is Primoz going to be happy to just like suddenly turn into a domestique?
I don't
What
know.
do you
I,
think?
I I think the landscape of this team is going to change drastically over the next 2 years.
For sure.
I think because it doesn't make sense for them to sign him and not push all their chips on him, which means that what does that mean for Lipowitz? Because dude, somebody's got in Israel Premier Tech, a Cofidis, one of these fringe teams will pay a guy like him because he could, he's the perfect small team rider, to build around. You know what I mean? If you want GC aspirations, you could probably steal him at some point. But again, we see this happening on UAE, on Visma, now on Red Bull, where they have really, really top tier talent, even in their B ranks.
Mm-hmm.
It works for all of them. Why can't it work for Red Bull?
Well, with this Melissa bike, I would say that's a little bit more true. Yeah, like Simon Yates is not the guy on Visma. Jonas Vingegaard is the guy because he's the Tour de France guy.
Right.
But their incredible depth gave them a Grand Tour win at one of the other Grand Tours. They didn't get the Tour de France, but they did get a win at one of the other Grand Tours.
They got a podium.
UAE, yeah, but those teams don't care about the podium. They want the win. The win is everything. UAE, they got a Grand Tour win, but that was from the guy. Everybody knew that guy would get that Grand Tour win. That was almost a foregone conclusion. But what they didn't get was a win from their deep bench, like Visma Lab got.
I'll give you that.
Putting Red Bull into this equation, it's really kind of apples and oranges because Remco is not Jonas or Tade. He just isn't.
Keep saying that, yeah.
So, and once again, you could probably make an argument that Leipowitz has as good of a chance as becoming the next guy that's like Jonas or Tade level than Remco. I mean, Remco's flailed in the last couple of Grand Tours he's ridden. You know what I mean? Well, he kind of, he went out of the Tour de France and then, well, I guess the
he came in
one.
third last year.
Yeah, so he got third. No.
But he cracked. But he cracked early.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Time will tell. It'll make it interesting. I think it's a great thing for Tim Merlier.
Well, that's what I really want to talk about is what happens to Quickstep now. And one of my notes was that Jasper Stuyven is going to Quickstep, and Jasper Stuyven he's a one-day guy. He's a classics guy. What I really hope is that Quickstep is just like, can we get back to our roots? Like Remco's gone, that whole like dream of the Tour de France and the GC wins, Grand Tour wins, that's gone. That's not us. We're not that team. We're the team that just gobbles up one day races, just left, right, and center,
And then goes to
um,
the tour and takes every
and
sprint they can.
and wins stages, wins sprints. Um, so I hope they refocus and kind of go back to that because I like having that team play in that role,
Well, look, as
and they'll
far
be able to compete with some of these other ones.
as far as I'm concerned, because you're dumping him this year, you're not keeping him on for 2026. This gives you the ability that while the iron is hot with Tim Merlier, that you strike it, all right, and you go. And next year when you go to the tour, you go with the intent of winning every single sprint that you possibly can. All right, because if he comes into the tour with the same form that he did this year, but he has an entire team built around pushing him through the hard parts and into the sprints so that he can be set up to win, he has the ability to take all of those sprints. And again, I will still say, even though Milan won the green jersey, that he is a better sprinter than Milan. Whether or not he really is better than Philipsen in the tour, sadly we didn't get to see it, but I still, if Philipsen comes into the tour with the same form that he did this year and stays upright and doesn't, lose, I think it's fireworks next year for those two teams. I think the sprinting forecast for the next year with just those three guys period is going to be great. And if you get Coy in the mix now that Coy is going to be out of the situation over at Visma, and somewhere else, it'll be interesting to see what the sprinting landscape looks like because Coy may get a shot at the tour next year. All right. And, obviously, at some point, Matty Brennan is probably not going to get a tour, but maybe we see him get in the mix, against these guys in some of the prep races. So
Wait, is Coy going to be out the door at?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's already out the door. I think that's already a done deal. Hold on, I'll look it up right now.
So then, why wouldn't Brennan be the guy to be going to the tour next year?
Why would you? Because how do you take him to the how do you take a sprinter to the tour if he's not, you know, you know what I mean? If you're going to focus with Jonas, is he?
Because he's like the new generation of really climby sprinters. This guy can actually like participate
Do
in
you
some of the
think?
uphill
Do you
stuff.
think that he? I guess it remains to be seen if he has the ability to domestique, in those roles and still be able to take some stages in a sprint. Look, the landscape for that team is going to change drastically in the next year. So, where we're at a year from now is going to be very, very interesting. And I guess it is still only rumor that he's going to be going to decathlon. I apologize. I thought that was a done deal for Coy. But I think that the writing is on the wall there. I think that he is pretty much out the door.
Yeah, next year's going to be very, very interesting in the sprint realms. Let's hope.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hope. Let's hope Tim Merlier goes to the Tour de France with a dedicated sprint train.
I would love to see all three of these guys come back in with a dedicated, their dedicated sprints. Little Trek, Alpecin, and Soudal. I'd love to see all three of these teams in the mix for sprinting next year at the Tour. And if Coy's with decathlon, that would be even better. Get them all in the mix, dude. I like the more the better, especially of all these.
Decathlon could do sprints.
Yeah. So it'll be very, very interesting. All right. So what other? It looked like you had a couple of non-cycling topics in there as well.
Yeah, I like to talk track a little bit when notable things happen in the world of track. And there was quite a notable incident at a I don't know what the actual thing was, if it was a championship or maybe it was like the college
USATF Outdoor Championships. So it's
US
the U.S.
Track
Track
and
and Field Outdoor Championships.
Yeah, and it's Noah Lyles, the Olympic medalist, that he got at least a gold medal in the Olympics. This is the men's 200 meter, and he's going up against this guy Kenny Bednarek, and Bednarik has beaten him like several times over the past couple of years in the 200. And in this race, Noah Lyles wins with like kind of a come from behind win. I guess like Bednarik knows that the only way he's going to beat him is to start really, really fast and hope that Lyles doesn't catch him in the end. But that's what happened. Lyles caught him in the end. And basically, just as he starts to go across the finish line, they were right next to each other. Bednarik was to Lyles's left. Lyles like turns his head and he's just like staring him down, just kind of like giving him this hard, like, yeah, what kind of stare, like literally as they're coming across the finish line. And he keeps he keeps that stare on him as they're starting to go into that curve after the finish line. And Bednarik gets pissed off and like gives him a shove in the back. And Lyles turns around and is like,
yeah,
you know, it's like you're like, holy shit, what's going to happen right here? And then Bednarik, because they're still moving, like they just came off of this final, like they're still moving and kind of gone down the track. And Bednarik finally comes up and like shakes his hand or whatever, but he says something to him. And in his post race interview, somebody was asking him about it, and he was just like, it was kind of similar to the other thing I was talking about with the MMA guys. He was just like, you know, he just does a lot of trash talking. And then, you know, like he's going to get into some disrespect stuff. He's like, I've beaten this guy like 5 times and we're coming across the finish line. He's going to turn his head and look at me like, you know, it's like, nah, like if you're going to conduct yourself like that, they're disrespecting me. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, get out of my way, man. Be like, all right, punk, you know, get. And, you know, Lyles didn't take it harshly or whatever. He was just like, yeah, you know, I get it. It's like heat of the moment and shit happens. And Bednarik was like shaking his hand afterwards, but there were some words exchanged between the two of them. Nobody knows exactly what they said, but kind of an interesting little exchange, man. I don't know. I'm fascinated by the fastest human beings in the world.
And the machismo of sports.
Yeah, the sprinters, especially, you know, the 100, 200 meter track sprinters, those are some special people, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
no doubt.
It's freaking wild. Like, it's crazy. You know what's great about a 100 and a 200 meter track final? Like, you can watch the race and then you can watch a replay of the entire race in slow motion. And
it doesn't take one
and
minute.
then you can see like 3 other replays of like the second half of the entire race, all in slow motion. And the total elapsed time is like 8 minutes. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm like sitting here, I'm watching this thing. I'm like, damn, this YouTube video is like 8 minutes long. And I am seeing every single solitary moment of this race. You know, you're used to watching bike races where it's like 5 hours. This time it's 5 minutes for the entire thing. So so I had that. And then my last thing is just I wanted to shout out my brother Andy and my sister-in-law Laura for hosting me and my daughters at their new house in Kingsport, Tennessee this past weekend. We had a lovely time. Got to go out on the lake with their neighbors. Got some really sweet neighbors living next door. They took us out on their boat. The kids rode the hot dog behind the boat. Had an absolute just blast of a time, and went out to a really nice restaurant on Sunday night, and just had a great time. They got a beautiful new house and a nice little setup. I got to go and see their Laura's family little birthday party thing happening on like Saturday afternoon or something. I got in a really, really nice bike ride while I was down there too. Did like a 26 mile little loop down there, just beautiful country roads and some great climbs and some beautiful environs. Awesome. So a nice weekend.
Glad you did.
Yeah. So that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nah, man. That's it, man. It's been it's been a weird week for me.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time on the old Beyond the Slipstream. Ale.
The Teen Bus is part of the Beyond the Slipstream family and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!